All right.
Okay. In my experience in this movement, I was initially drawn to nationality. That was the first thing that I was drawn to, because I didn't understand the concept of black, but I knew something wasn't right. And this is just from listening to news like the BBC, and they always refer to people by their nationality. So I knew something wasn't right. Um, then 2010, I learned about this um, nationality and commerce. Um, both nationality uses a different type of law than commerce. And what I tell people who try to use the commercial tactics with the uh, straw man and the accept for values and all of that. Um, Nationality controls commerce. Commerce does not control nationality. Nationality controls commerce, and to what's going on with the level that everyone is trying to do the commerce and all of this on is going on a lower level. It's not an international level. The system that everybody is moving around in with uh, the trusts and the 501c3s and all that, this is still within the United States structure. Basically, it's still within their jurisdictional structure, because most of the things that people are creating, like the trusts and all of those things, they are made using tax ID numbers. Um, and when you apply for a tax ID number, when you get a tax ID number, you actually create a U.S. citizen. You literally create a U.S. citizen with the name of whatever business that you got that tax ID number from the IRS. Um, um, as it pertains to nationality, that moves on a whole different level, and in that's international law basically. And in order to move in international law, you have to have a certain level of organization. Um, Basically, because for the most part, international law um, only recognize nations per se. Um, our situation, the situation that we're in now, and have been since probably 1928, 29, when Prophet Noble Drew Ali passed, the situation that we're in now is what I'm seeing, and this is studying the history of the movement. Uh, the international aspect of the movement, the national aspect of the movement, has been lost. So when Noble Drew Ali got the mandate for the land, after that he passed, and no one knew the next step. Well, what we are being viewed as by the United States is really uh, a bunch of black people who are calling themselves Moors. One reason for that is we have no organization, um, and for the most part, the, for what I'm seeing is no one wants to step down from a leadership position in their organization. The Moorish, okay, let me say it like this: the Moorish Republic moves strictly on international law. That's all we move on, and international law is for the most part based on treaties. Um, the treaties that we don't use the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. I'll say that we use the human rights treaties that the United States has currently is a signatory to and has ratified Um, so the way we're moving is based on citizen. Okay, the United States doesn't have a nationality. It has a citizenship status, but it doesn't have a nationality because it is foreign to these lands. Their nationality is European, of European lineage. Um, so when you move as a nation separate from this nation, it you can enforce those treaties instead of because okay, and as a nation, when I say move as a nation, I'm talking about a nation, how it is defined under international law, under international standards and traditions and culture. A nation is defined as you have to have four things. You have to have a flag, that's the main thing. You have to have a constitution, a constitutional government or a constitution that is set for the running of a government. And you have to have a territory, which the Moorish Republic's territory is everything between Canada and Mexico. That's the territory that we claim. Um, and you have to have a people. Those are the four things that are required under international law to be considered a nation. Um, the in order the okay in studying the United States connection with the United Nations, I found some human rights reports, one from 2016 and one from 2022, where basically the United States says that the human rights treaties are non-self-executing. They're non-self-executing. What that means is basically it's up to us to enforce the treaties. But in order to enforce the treaties, we have to come in the right manner. We have to come as a nation, not as a 501c3 company, not as a religious organization, not as any of these groups. We have to come according to international law. And so what's happening is, and like I stated earlier, I have a case right now, Mini Zonkel versus the United States of America, formerly known as the United States in Congress Assembled. And in that case, I'm not asking for anything. I don't want any land. I don't want any money. I'm not asking for any of that. I'm asking for what's called a declaratory judgment, basically stating that I'm not a U.S. citizen. Now, that case was filed on July the 8th. To date, they haven't made a move on it. They haven't done anything on it. Whereas normally within the first week or two, they'd have had all kind of orders trying to dismiss the case. So the 1915 screening, that's what any pro se filer in the federal courts has to go through, is a 1915 screening, whether you pay the fee or not. And in that screening, it's basically the judges approving your case to go ahead. Oh, okay, they're gonna screen your case and say, okay, this case makes sense, so it can go ahead. Well, what happens is they become gatekeepers to things that they don't want. They don't become. They are the gatekeepers to things that they don't want in law. Part of my background is in 2012, I was sent to prison for literally suing the police. They said that I financially intimidated the police. And I ended up doing 5 years on a 4-year sentence because they were mad because basically my whole argument was subject matter jurisdiction, as well as, again, I'm one of the probably few people who has actually touched the Treasury direct account and paid bills, have receipts, um, uh, and have witnesses. Um, but what happens is basically anything that they don't want to get out in the courts, they change the narrative in their court orders, because this is the thing about reading court judgments. When you read a court judgment, you only get to hear what the judges want you to hear, or their so-called opinion. However, if you ever get access to what was actually filed by the Moore or the pro se complaint, you'll find that the judges aren't even talking about the issue at hand. Like, for example, if you look up my cases, they'll come with, the United States. There's a few times it said the United States does not recognize Moorish nationality. I found a few cases like that, and in a sense, that's what I'm using in my cases, because that's denationalization under the human rights treaties. And anytime you get a case, and I know there are several brothers down through the decades, I've read too many cases where they've ignored the issues to just stick on the nationality. The United States doesn't recognize Moorish nationality, and I have a case also where they say all the courts have come to an agreement that any use of the Treaty of Peace and Friendship in any filings will be looked at and found frivolous and dismissed. I actually have the case on that, and I'm paraphrasing, but that's in a nutshell, that's what it says. So that's where a lot of misconceptions get caught up on that aspect of the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. So what we're doing is disconnecting from all that. We're still standing on the foundation that Noble Jew Ali built. Our flag is the original white Moroccan flag, which it was changed to red in defense of their principles during the Muslim invasions, with the Arab invasions, the Arab invasions, which was the spreading of the Orthodox Islam. But what is going on internationally is, for the most part, everyone knows who we are. That was seen in Obama's election. You've never seen the world that happy over a U.S. presidential election. First black man, quote unquote, to be elected. So the world was happy, and everybody was happy for that, because they probably thought we finally woke up. They probably thought we finally woke up. As we all know, that is not the case. But concepts and principles of international law demand that we step out of. Okay, let me put it to you like this, and this is connected to some of what the sister was talking about when she's talking about the Iroquois Confederation. Okay. I have the congressional records. They're actually on my website, which I had to bring back up because somehow it was oddly taken offline by someone at the hosting service. But it's back up now. It's the MoorishRepublic.com. But we have the congressional records where they say that the Iroquois Confederation would. They don't say the Iroquois Confederation at first. In the 1909 version, they don't give the name. But they say, paraphrasing, the Negroes ordained the Constitution. The Negroes were the original sovereign people. And we basically set ordained is the word that they used. We ordained and established the Constitution. And it says something to the effect of we the people in the Constitution applies to basically a people of a different nationality. That's what they say. And then later on, they say it was the Negroes who were later enslaved. So they say in us doing that for them or ordaining the Constitution for them, I don't want to say reestablished, but reaffirmed our separateness from them. There are two nations on one land. They were allowed to come here. They enslaved us, ran wild, and this is where we are now. But in that 250 years of enslavement, 99% of us, our people, forgot who we were because we were being shipped back and forth. Slavery just didn't come from the east to the west. It also went from the west to the east. So with all that mix, it went from the south to the north and to the north to the south. By the way, no slaves ever came directly here from Africa. None. Only about 388,000 came here directly from Africa. The main slave trading was down in the Caribbean, and then they were bought this way. But
about a minute. You got 2 minutes.
Okay.
2 minutes.
Basically, I'm gonna stop with this. The reason that we haven't gone anywhere is because since about 1990, our people got caught up on the sovereign citizen movement, the straw man, the birth certificate, and all of that. That is a system that we have never been a part of. We're not even in that thing. This was for the state citizens. They started the straw man movement or the sovereign citizen movement. Right now, in trying to follow that concept, we are spinning our wheels. We need to look from that, stop looking at commerce and look at international law and treaties. That's what the Moorish Republic is doing. I also have a book that breaks this down. It's called The Apocalypse of a Moor. It's called the Spellbreaker edition because it lays down all the cases, all the records, all the everything to clear up all of the misconceptions. It is an apocalypse or a revealing or revelation. That's what the definition of apocalypse means. But with that, I yield and go get the book. You find it very interesting.
Brother King. All right, before you get on, Brother King, I'm going to